Morning, everyone. It's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. This morning, I would like to talk about rapper Kanye West, hip hop artist, married to Kim K. Well, he's certainly an interesting character. I mean, I don't really listen to his music, but I do like hearing about him because I think he's fascinating. I think his tenacity, his political independence. He's just an interesting guy. He's said some really awake things. I've heard him. He's just not willing to be bullied or coerced, even though I think he's easily manipulated. We'll look at that. I still think he's very interesting, and why wouldn't I? He's born literally 1 year after me. Kanye West, June 8th, 1977. I'm June 5th, 76. Literally 1 year after me. Gemini as well, fellow. 8:45 a.m. Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, extremely, very, very similar to me. So that's probably why I like him. Gemini Sun. I have Scorpio ascendant. He has Cancer ascendant. Anyway, 12th house Gemini Sun conjunct Jupiter. All right. So, I mean, Gemini. Geminis are interesting. The biggest there's a lot of criticisms of Gemini, but people don't like the over talking. But you know what? And if you're not looking for a commitment, who doesn't love a Gemini? They're fun, they're interesting, they're entertaining. They can just keep you amused forever because they're just always doing something new and fun and exciting and interesting and fascinating. They always have something interesting to say. They're just it's the sign of the intellect, and it's the sign that's most seeking novelty, constantly seeking novelty, and that's why Gemini is so interesting. They also get bored very quickly, but that's why they're always seeking the newness, the interest factor. Conjunct Jupiter, that's it's bad for Jupiter but good for the sun. Right? It gives the sun this Jupiterian quality, this really wonderful, big, bright, expansive, benefic, generous energy that's really, really quite enjoyable to be around. I mean, I think if they're not depressed, I mean, sometimes the sun depends on the rest of the chart. If Jupiter is badly damaged enough, then the person can be depressed depending on other factors. But if it's a healthy Sun Jupiter, then it's really, really, I mean, their personality just becomes Jupiterian. It's just bigger than life, really, just expansive and benefic and generous and wonderful. It's in the 12th house, so house of creativity. And one of the things about Gemini in water houses, especially 12th and 8th, is that Gemini actually really is interesting in those houses. I have Gemini in the 8th house because it's picking up the secrets of those houses. I mean, nothing is more like, how do you want to say, like, Gemini is the sign that can most easily pick up things. It's the quickest. You can get criticized for not going deep, but its ability to pick things up rapidly on the surface is fantastic. So when you have the hidden house like the 12th house, which often people, when I have 12th house planets, it's difficult to express that. Gemini does great with that because Gemini can get all the secrets of the 8th house or the 12th house and really express them much more easily than other signs, because that's Gemini's nature. It's so to the surface, and the water houses are so deep, so that Gemini is bringing the depth to the surface with these houses. And that's why you hear Kanye West always going on about like conspiracy theories and like he knows what's going. He's far more in tune about what's going on than his fellow like dumbed down Democrats who are just towing the party line and vote for Hillary Clinton, vote for Biden. He's questioning, and that's really, really good. There's nothing worse than somebody who's just deeply asleep. And here he's getting a lot of awakeness with the combination of Gemini in the 12th house and Jupiter and Sun together. It's tightly square the moon in Pisces, Pisces moon is fantastic for creativity, and he's got a Cancer ascendant. So he himself is going into the ninth house, Pisces, creativity. And again, ninth house is an elevated house. It's the house of the master, the house of philosophy, religion, God, higher studies, higher learning, long distance travel. And so his mind is going into higher things. It's going into really sophisticated wisdom, knowledge, and that's helping him understand the way things are and to get out of the, the box that our Western society wants to put all Black people in, like just vote Democrat and don't do anything else. Don't question, don't think, just do what we say. And here's free stuff. It's ridiculous. It's awful. It's harmful. It's terrible. And it's just the worst. So he's able to think outside of that, and that's good. Not that I'm not saying that the Republicans are any better. A lot of times they're not. They're just as bad. But just the ability to question and take oneself out of the box, out of the paradigm, and just be an independent person. I mean, not to mention, his music probably benefits a lot. I can't say I'm really a fan of his music. I'm more a fan of him as a person. I don't listen to his music. I can't testify to his lyrics. I can't say his lyrics are really intelligent. I have not taken the time to look, so I don't have anything to say about that. But there's this really intense T-square between Neptune in Sag, opposite the Sun and Jupiter, directly opposite Jupiter, and square the moon. This makes him very creative, very artistic, very delusional as well, easily manipulated, because Neptune, especially in Sag, is very spiritual, right? Because Neptune is the co-ruler of Pisces, along with Jupiter, when Jupiter is the ruler of Sag. So this is it's a very Piscean feel, Neptune in Sag. I had Neptune in Sag. And if you look at like the kind of what came out of Neptune and Sag generation, well, I can just tell you right off the bat, Star Wars did. So like the fantasy of Neptune and Sag is really exalted because it's more nuanced than Neptune and Pisces, which is what we have now. It has a similar flavor, but it's more nuanced because Sagittarius is different than Pisces. Sagittarius is solely Jupiterian. Here we have Neptune in Jupiter's sign. So it does have a Piscean feel, but it's more dynamic and nuanced. So you get like this really big, broad fantasy. That's really quite nice. I mean, just think of the Star Wars theme. The Star Wars universe is one of the most popular ever created. That came out of Neptune and Sag. So the fantasy, the imagination, the creativity is really, really nice here. The problem is Neptune is such a delusional planet that people can easily manipulate him. But he seems to be able to think his way out of it fairly easily. I have Neptune opposite Sun and Venus and square the moon. My moon's in Virgo, and his is a tighter T-square. So I get this. I'm more intellectual. He's more creative, but I totally understand this, and I have been played a lot by other people. I've become wise since then, but it's very easy for this type to become manipulated by others for the worse, because Neptune represents delusion. So you believe someone and then they take advantage of you. It's really awful. I've been taken advantage of. Not good. All right. And this is the sixth house. So, people who he thinks of, they might be enemies who appear like friends, right? Sixth house is enemies. So it might be friends or like leading him towards debt, because sixth house can lead to debt, conflict, things like that. Right. So what else? He's got this intense, not quite a stellium, but it's 3 planets. Venus in Taurus is great, and it's tightly conjunct Mars, and then Chiron. Venus conjunct Mars is very passionate, and you see this a lot of times with musicians, artists, that nature, because Venus and Mars are coming together and like creating a lot of passion. And this is greatly strengthened by Taurus. Venus is very strong here, and it's strengthening Mars and Chiron. Venus is ruling his 4th house, so early success, and the 11th house. So gains, gains of career, wealth, finances, friends, networks, groups. He's very popular among certain groups with this, and he will make a lot of money. He's very, passionate in the group that he's associated with. And then Chiron's here. What's that going on? I mean, what's that doing? Chiron is the wounded healer, rejected by his mother, then shot in the leg by a poison that he made. Hercules shot him. But Chiron represents rejection and wounds and the deepest pains. Eventually, Chiron becomes a healer, but not before he heals himself. At least that's the living paradigm that we see play out in real life. But Venus's relationships, especially for men. So what is this? Is this Kim K? Is that what we're saying here? Is Kim K the wounded reject? I don't know. I'm not saying she is. Maybe she is, because Venus represents partnerships. The other way we can look at that is Capricorn, Saturn in Leo. Saturn, so maybe she's Saturn in Leo. Not a great combination either. Speaking of Kim K, I'm going to look at her chart just because I want to do the synastry of Kim K and Kanye West. Kimye, we'll call them, as they are called. That should be interesting. Not because I'm a fan of Kim K, but just because it's something that's interesting to do. But Chiron here definitely can give him a lot of empathy towards the underdog of life, the lower class, the working poor, the down and out, the rejected, the wounded, the pained. And it makes him somewhat of a healer, or at least potentially. Yeah, there's an opposition to Uranus, and this is always, Uranus always brings a lot of awareness and awakeness. This is actually a T square. This is kind of out of orb with the Saturn to Chiron, but it's almost a T square. Uranus to Saturn is definitely rebellion against authority. So we know that he is quite rebellious. I have this aspect, and it makes me very rebellious because Uranus is conjunct my ascendant. But this is very rebellious against authority. Uranus opposite Chiron is actually very aware, becomes very aware of the way of how Chiron operates, which is, or how the Chironic wounds in life as it relates to ourselves and others. It can bring a lot of awareness to that. It can bring a lot of awareness towards the plight of the rejected, the wounded, the healed, the need for healing, just around that whole area. It makes people very aware. Here it's in his 5th house, so it's influencing his creativity, making him much more creative, original, unique, inventive within his music, within his whole creative endeavors. South Node is in Aries in the 10th house. So this shows like early success, because South Node is the first half of our life. It's what we come in with, the skills, and it's in Aries. So he's like, shooting to the top from a young age, right? Because MC is in Aries. It's still in the 10th house. It's right here. And it's showing a lot of early success. Thing is, North Node is in the 4th house. So this is after he's already passed, his North Node's already active. So we might have seen the most of Kanye West's career as a musician, believe it or not. He's moving out of the spotlight and into the 4th house. He's going to move more into, the comfort of his own home and out of the spotlight. He's still going to have a successful career, but this could be more about using his money to do things like, I don't know what he's up to. I haven't looked into it, but it could be like, it could be real estate. It could be working for the homeland, people of the homeland. So whoever he considers his homeland people, that could be Black people, or it could be Black people who are not conventionally politically minded, more awake Black community, or it could not. It could be somebody else. I don't know how he personally identifies. I mean, you know, who his people are, really, but that, you know, there could be something there. He could start a business or an empire or something like that. 11th house, sorry, 4th house often deals with like building up from the ground because it's the lowest part of the chart. So it's like gathering and building, right? So like real estate and empires and like, you know, building from the roots. So there's a return to his roots, in other words, and out of the limelight. But I still see career success for him, especially because Venus is also ruling the 4th house, and it's in really good position in Taurus, and on the 11th house cusp, almost on the 11th house cusp. Pluto is here too, so what he could do is could be quite powerful, right, in the 4th house. And again, I don't know exactly what that is, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, the squares, I mean, the squares. The nodes are squaring his ascendant, which is interesting, his ascendant descendant. And that should be quite meaningful for his career, his destiny. Not necessarily his career, but his destiny. Like, because squares to the nodes are nodal contacts, strong nodal contacts. So they reveal something about our destiny, something in between the past and the future, destined towards, you know, something to be, you know, a powerful, influential figure. Saturn ruling the 7th and the 2nd shows that his partner will be a valuable asset. So Kim K is a valuable asset, although Saturnian and egotistical Leo. Saturn in Leo is quite the tyrant, so she might be a tyrant too. I don't know. Really don't know much about Kim K, except that she appears like kind of like the epitome of something that nobody really wants except very superficial people. And that's just how she appears. I mean, I don't want to completely dismiss her and write her off and judge her based on appearances, because she could be a great person for all I know. I don't know. Or she could be a horrible person. I don't know. Haven't paid attention to her. But that she is an asset. She could be an asset to a Saturnian asset. So that's a very well, it's Saturnian, and it doesn't do that great in Leo. So I don't think she's a very great asset, but she is an asset, and she's probably a bit of a tyrant too. Anyway, I think they're getting divorced. Mercury is ruling the 3rd house of expression and the 12th house. So in the 11th house, conjunct Algol, by the way, this is exactly less than a degree from my Mercury. We all have almost the same exact Mercury. And it's kind of a unique Mercury because it's conjunct Algol. I'm not going to go into the details of Algol, but Algol is considered the most malefic planet in the sky. But let's not forget, it's Medusa's head. But let's not forget that Medusa's head was half poison, half medicine. And if you could sever her head, which Hermes, in the mythology, Hermes and Pallas Athena came together to help Perseus defeat Medusa. So Hermes is excellent here on Algol because it has the intellect to defeat Medusa, because that's what's needed, the sword of discrimination, and that's what Mercury is. It's discrimination. It's discriminating. Being able to discrimination is not a bad word. I know it has a bad rap if you're like if you're not smart enough to understand really what it means. It means the ability to separate things, and that's what a sword does. That's why a sword is. We don't want to discriminate based on superficialities like skin color or whether somebody is vaccinated or not. Those are all like idiot things to discriminate about. But we do want to discriminate when it comes to choices that are good or bad for us, and that Mercury is excellent for. Mercury is actually not only excellent, it's necessary. We can't do it without Mercury when it comes to discrimination, necessary discrimination, discriminating between what's going to kill us, what's going to hurt us, and what's going to help us. So Mercury on Algol is excellent. because we need to just use Mercury's discrimination here because of the malefic influence of algol. Algol is the Arabic root for alcohol, right? So there, what algol really represents is the temptation to be seduced by things like drugs, alcohol, sex, all the low vibrational seductive influences. That's really Medusa's. That's really what she represents. And so if we can be seduced and we have not passed the test and we really get dragged down, people with planets on algol can become very, very destructive and evil. No, not evil. They can really lose their head. And that's one of the mythology, that's one of the characteristics of algol, losing your head. But if you have Mercury here, or you just have naturally strong discrimination, and you're not seduced by drugs and alcohol, sex, other low vibrational things, it's very powerful because half Medusa's head is medicine. So you become even more empowered, right? I've become more empowered since I learned how to discriminate between the things that are good for me and the things that are not good for me. I used to drink a lot. I don't anymore. That's how to utilize algol, and it's very positive, very powerful for that. So I think Kanye is on the right track. I don't think he's indulging in drugs and alcohol. At least I hope not. And he doesn't seem like he is. So that's good. I do know that his favorite food is McDonald's, and at least he said that, and that's terrible. He should have the discrimination to choose better food because McDonald's is trash and will hurt or kill anyone. But anyway, yeah, so wait a minute. I did not check his additional tables. Let's see. Okay, nothing unusual here. Nothing stationary. Nothing out of the ordinary. Pretty ordinary on that, in that regard. But yeah, that's basically Kanye West. I mean, he should be, with his moon in the 9th house, he should be very philosophical, religious, high-minded. Although I don't have, other than the things that I've seen, the awareness, we could attribute that to partially, at least being moon in the 9th house, his ability to think higher, but not all that alone. A lot of that is Sun and Jupiter and Gemini in the 12th house, being really able to penetrate the secrets and not be fooled. But this is watery too. Yeah, but it's probably more creativity in this and high-minded creativity. He's not famous for nothing. So anyway, also, I think Uranus in the 5th house in Scorpio brings a lot of awareness to him in general. It does strongly relate to the mind, the identity, education, things like that. And that's why he's a little more aware than your average person. So anyway, that is Kanye West. Fascinating character. Whether you like his music or not, he's interesting. And yeah, one more thing. Like, I remember the incident where he's like, where he goes up to Taylor Swift, grabs her mic and says, says that whole thing. Like, I mean, that was unheard of. That was absurd. That was totally bold and reckless and like just crazy. That's South Node in Aries, and that's also Mars being so prominent. It still has a lot of 10th house influence, even though it's moving into the 11th house. That's Mars, in the 10th house. South Node, that's the Martian influence because South Node is in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Mars is still in the 10th house, moving into the 11th house. So that's what that is. That big, bold, arrogant action. Yeah. I don't hate him for it. It was fascinating. It was entertaining, right? Like, yeah, he's cocky as hell, and we don't like that. But I mean, it's fun and it's interesting. So what? I mean, I don't care. It's like Taylor Swift. I mean, come on, who cares? You might not like that comment. I don't care. I mean, anyway, I thought it was interesting. Makes life more fun. I'm a Gemini. Geminis love that stuff. So, okay. Whatever. All right. That's it for now, guys. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And go to my website to book a reading. And if you have any suggestions about people you'd like me to do a reading for, write it in the comment section, or anything else that you'd like to write. So, all right, guys, I'll see you soon. Thanks.